right, we should be live, I allege. So I can't tell if anyone's there.
Still stuck watching a Death Stranding ad, so I can't tell yet. Oh, actually, one moment. I'm getting a call. Be right back.
Okay. uh, hi, True Canis. Hi, Grace. Uh, hey, Da Vinci. Hey, it's the Danger. Hello. OBS or Streamlabs is still just such a mystery to me, honestly. Hello, first time chatter.
Hey there.
Abhinesh Kumar, welcome. Welcome to the chat. I also figured out how to have the activity feed and the chat on separate panels next to my screen. So pretty
Nice.
much a whole new streamer now. Yeah, that's what Grace is saying. Pro streamer. Lies. Hi, CansCorp. How's it going? Welcome to the chat. Wow, a lot of familiar faces. I think we're doing well. Chat will let you know. Doing well. We are super busy into it again. I mean, we already had our first patch, which we're going to talk about in a sec. I am still catching up on a little bit of sleep post NextFest. Oh, you're Ludwig. Cool. Connecting the names. Thank you for chiming in and answering in a bunch of different discussion boards and forums and stuff like that as well. We'll give folks another couple minutes just to filter in. Always a bit of a early start. What have you been up to, Ryan?
Let's see. Playing some Minecraft Online. New social MMO focused on building, and I actually followed someone on Twitch and then went and found their settlement in game, and I'm knocking on the door trying to get an invite, but no luck yet. So I'm contributing supplies to their settlement in the meantime.
They're all separate settlements.
Yeah, it's kind of reminds me of like Ultima Online, or
Yeah,
you
Albion or
basically you can
something.
settle. Yeah, you can settle anywhere. You can create settlements, empires, groups of settlements, and it's all PVE. And so it's just all about crafting and gathering and working together. It's pretty cool.
I need to check it out at some point. I'm still in the Dune train.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to get back to that. Also playing a bunch of rematch, really fun new, like Rocket League, but with people.
Dang, they are having such a moment. I'm seeing so much stuff on social media.
It's a great game.
Da Vinci says, so how about those stalkers? You might have seen the almost guaranteed way to run into them and trying to travel between the biomes now.
I saw some were even making their way onto land.
What?
They're evolving too and chasing people down.
Uh, hey Taser, hey Possum, how's it going? So guys, we have a couple of different things to share with you today. First, we have our winners from our Pias for Photo contest that was running over NextFest. We saw some really fun shots and art from everybody here. So excited to announce our winners for that. We also have a bunch of like recap of how NextFest went now that things are sort of settled, and we can look back and be like, how did NextFest go? Which I think was a really exciting time and like far and away the most eyeballs we've had on the game ever. So maybe this is kind of a fun part to sort of come back around and be like, what does that look like from the developer side and like a bunch of the signals that we're seeing. Hi, Ali Cantina, welcome, just in time. And then talking about some of the feedback that we heard out of the Next Fest sort of arc, and some stuff we're working on next, of which a bunch of it you guys are experiencing now already with the most recent patch that just went live yesterday. Wow, that was only yesterday. Also, a bit of a fun fact is that we are an official Twitch affiliate now, thanks to our extra streaming during NextFest. So you can see some of our uh, emotes and stuff in the chat, which is hopefully cute and fun. A lot of this is artwork that was done by our own engineer. Oh man, did we just get a sub? We did just get a sub. Dixie Chick 1973, thank you for the follow. But yeah, we got some emotes now, which are really cute. And so yeah, hopefully you can see these pop around in other places. Luke, one of our engineers on the team, actually drew a lot of these emotes. Thank you on the congrats. Oh, thank you, Taser, for the subscription. Apparently, maybe the first dollars we're gonna make as a company are actually through Twitch subs. Isn't that funny? Very unexpected. Hi, Foxy and Bloom. Sho Kuritsu, and Dixie Chick. A lot of first-time chatters. Thank you guys for the follow. Man, a lot of new faces. This is so cool. Definitely since the NextFest arc, we've been meeting so many new folks. It's really, really awesome. Hi, Herrick. A hype train. I don't even know what that is, but I'm excited about it. Oh, did someone just subscribe? Kaiju Kittens, thank you. Did we consider NextFest a success? Yes, extremely so. Ad break. Is there some way that we should be able to tell that an ad break is happening? Is that a thing?
I'm watching the stream and can see an ad break too, so
How
I
do
can just
you
tell you.
tell? Oh my god. Okay, here. Let me know when the ad's over, Ryan.
I'm seeing Superman right now. No,
In my
Samsung. I'll let you know.
dashboard? In my dashboard? There's another dashboard for this? Damn. Twitch stats? Is that? No. No, that's not giving me anything. All right. Well, you know what? It's just going to be a mystery for now.
They're controlling their television by pointing at it. I'm gonna buy a Samsung TV after this.
God. Oh my gosh, more subscriptions. Hi, Keller Point.
Thank you,
for
Keller.
the subscription. And thank you, Grace, for gifting a sub. Taser gifting a sub. Thank you so much. This is crazy. Oh my god, thank you for the follow as well.
The ad just finished.
Okay. Thank you, Grace, Tasery, and Keller Point for the subscriptions. Thank you guys very much. Thank you guys for the follows as well. I guess being an affiliate now means that we have to deal with ads. That's unexpected. So let's jump into the content while we have this ad window to sort of work around. Some notification has just happened. Okay. This is Cheery giving out subs. That's fine. All right. So first, we're gonna go to notifications. Keep playing, and I have no idea what's happening. I just assume it's something good. So we have our winners for our P is for Photo contest, and thank you guys everyone for the votes. Thank you everyone for participating. These are a lot of the funnest screenshots that we've seen, full stop, ever. So these are also like really fun for us to post on social media and stuff. So like people can get like an instant idea of what the game is. So thank you guys all for contributing to these. And the winner, I'm excited to announce, our first place winner is Eitzel, sitting on the dock of the bay. Here, I can zoom in a good bit so you guys can actually see the screenshot, the winning screenshot with the pet bullwogs. Congratulations, you've won. Let's see, special Discord role and 3 keys for our early access version of the game. One for you and a couple of your friends, we hope. And that's not the only winner we have today. We have second places and third places. And in fact, actually, we have 2 second place winners because it was a perfect tie. And our lack of good design planning is your gain. Oh my God, thank you, Reiki T. Thank you so much for the subscription. People want these emotes, I guess. These are a bigger draw than I realized. Our first winner for second place is It's Nikki Nee. Sometimes the where is close by. Another scenic shot at sundown with the bullwog in tow. So another beautiful shot. Thank you guys so much. Oh, let me reposition it over our faces. So congratulations, you've won 2 keys for early access, one for yourself and a friend. And then we actually have a second winner, which is Nexus Cupcake, racking up the wins. Not the first thing Nexus Cupcake has won with their amazing photo abilities. Skimmer Buddy is the name of this one. I thought this one was so
That one,
clever.
that one must have been hard to line up.
Yeah. Skimmer Buddy. This one is adorable. Of literally the dog on the go. I think in Discord, Nexus shared the inspiration photo of someone literally surfing with their
It's such a
their bulldog.
yeah.
uh,
I had a bulldog who could skateboard growing up. They're incredible at board sports.
Low center of gravity, I guess.
I think so. That's a great idea for a future skimmer skin.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's great. That would also be pretty easy for us to do.
Yeah.
Uh, Nexus, congratulations. You've also won 2 keys to early access on top of ones you've already won in the past. One for you and one for a friend. And then we have a bronze winner who is winning 1 key to our early access, who is It's the Danger, who also is in the chat right now. We thought this was like so crazy creative. Taking My Bestie to SeaWorld was the name of this one. And it's literally the most dangerous use of your pet, perhaps, and a captive shark in this homemade pen, which was really impressively done. I know the coordination for this was pretty significant, so congrats. This was, again, really cool, really creative. So yeah, this kind of blew us away. There were so many creative uses of the bullwog out in the wild, and I think kind of beat our expectations for all of the like crazy imaginative things we were hoping to see. I know Chiri was like really happy about how much like just fun variety we were seeing, and actually we have a lot of honorable mentions that we wanted to just call out as well and sort of scan through these guys really quick because there were so many other awesome. These are just a few of the other awesome posts that people made. A2 had Ritual of the Deep, a Bulwog based religion being formed. That was really, really nice use of the ivy as well. This one was just like a gorgeous photo. We also had Harry Plotters. Bully Bob visits his friends. Uh, I'm really glad we got this plaque in because that was also a lot of like creative use that was happening. So this was really really fun to see. We had this one from Da Vinci, who is also in this chat I just saw, and look who I found in my theater room. And this was a genius use of blueprints. Actually,
Wait, what object is that?
I think it's the cup.
Oh man,
I think it's
that's a
the
great idea.
cup. And use the cup to spell this. I mean, this is very touching. Treehouse devs, some love for the Treehouse devs, and all these guys sitting theater style in front of it, which was super dope. And also, again, just like Da Vinci's builds have been genius. Like so many of these have been like pushing the bounds of what we even think is possible with our building system. And so we saw it again
Yeah.
from like a totally unexpected angle of like, wait, how the hell did he spell that? So that was really really cool to see. And then a few more. Outlaw 13. Um, Again, a bit of a shrine, although ominously
That's
called
cool.
Bulwog Barbecue. And this one, a bit of a grill space. Hopefully, the Bulwog is there to attend and eat and not be the main course, but power to you either way. And then a couple other beautifully scenic shots. Cozy Cub Gamer, Tropical Sunset Adventure, out there on the ocean. Really nice shot out at sea. And then another one. This one I think with all of the cute uh, uh, buddies in tow, right in the middle of our hot spring.
Interesting.
Yeah, these are always really fun for us. I mean, like this and fan art are just like people being amped enough to actually make something with the game about the game, which is just really fun for us to see as developers. We've worked a long time sort of in the hidden behind the scenes, so actually seeing this feels very much like, oh my god, like the game's finally far enough along for people to do something really fun and creative with it, which is just so cool for us. So thank you guys all for participating. Thank you guys all. Congratulations to the winners. Um, we were really happy about how this turned out, so we want to do more stuff like this. If you guys have ideas too, Chiri's always looking for other cool ideas. And this one I thought was such a fun way to just take like, hey, the Bullwog's a thing in the game, like take him out on the town. So if you guys have other ideas, please let us know. So let's talk about NextFest. So if you guys remember from one of these last streams, NextFest is a really big deal for us, and it was a really active time for us as developers. And we had this trio of shows that was literally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the NextFest starts on Monday. We had our game at a physical event and like an online show called Mix. We were also had a trailer starring Steph at our women-led games show that's online, and then PC Gaming Show, which is a really giant event that had, oh my god, I think they had like 50 million viewers this year, which is a new record for them. And we had a trailer there, and this I think is where you see a lot of really big announcements often. And then Next Fest is one that we might all use more as players, where it's just like the banner of, hey, here are demos for upcoming games. There were 2,500 games in this June Next Fest, and that's a lot of competition. Obviously, like we want all these games to succeed. I wishlisted like maybe 20, 30 games out of this Next Fest. But holy crap, that's just like so many games to try and get through to even be like, yo, check out our game. Like our game's worth looking at. So it's simultaneously for any developer a chance to meet so many potential players, but also it's like one of the harshest realities of, dude, like your game has to hopefully stick out against hundreds, thousands of others. Oh, thank you so much for the sub. Live Love Ty Ty. Thank you so much for the subscription. We just hit a sub goal. Really cool. Uh, so this was like a pretty exciting, but also like, woof, really hope this goes well kind of moment for us because as we're heading toward launch, this is a really big opportunity for us to find and meet a lot of new players. And so how did it go? Well, the spoiler is that it went really, really well. It went really well, above sort of our hopes and expectations. You guys might have seen some of our posts of hitting 100,000 wish lists that we shared right at the start of the week. Well, before Next Fest was over, we actually got to share this one, which is hitting 150,000 wish lists, which is really insane and really cool. Um, but obviously, that means that NextFest actually generated a lot of wish lists. That's a lot of people who see the page, and then a lot of people who are like, hey, I want to know when this game is out for sale. I want to know when there's big news about the game and wishlisting us, right? And so this is probably our best measure of like who actually cares enough about the game to want to play it when it comes out. This is a really cool big benchmark for us. So we're really excited about it. It is also directly related to a lot of the support from you guys in spreading the word, and like literally playing the game actually is a big part of what helps us get visibility during the event itself. So thank you guys so much for the support. And really we saw that make a huge difference. I think in just absolute numbers, we're like, holy crap, that's so huge. Like that is above even our most optimistic goals. And then there was this website called Game Discover Co. that analyzes games like from an industry perspective of who's doing really well in NextFest. And they actually put out this thing of like who won NextFest is what the article was called. and we didn't make the top 10. They had a whole other chart for the top 10. This is number 11 to 30. And we're actually right here. We're number 15 out of the 2,500 games at NextFest. We're apparently number 15 out of all of those games, which is really cool. And we actually know that this number's pretty accurate. And that's also nuts. That's also insane, right? And you can't like from developer side, you can't be like, oh yes, and then in the strategy, we'll just be in the top 50 of Steam Next. Like that's not really a believable strategy. So, but it's really cool. It's really amazing to see the amount of response that we're getting. So it's really cool. Thank you for all the congrats. Hi. Oh, Cozy Cup Gamer. I think if you're just tuning in, I think we were just giving you a quick shout out to an honorable mention for your screenshot. It's a beautiful couple screenshots. Welcome. Um, but yeah, like outside of that, we had a lot of people play the demo. We had over 25,000 people play the demo in just the 1 week of NextFest, which is pretty insane. We were fighting hard to stay in the top 50 for the most played, which is actually really helpful for developers because Steam shares out a lot of info of like who are the top 50 played demos at NextFest. And we barely held on with number 48. And again, thank you guys so much for the support here. I know a bunch of people who are like, oh, like I'm going to play this weekend to try and help us stay in the top 50. And I think it actually made that difference. That little extra push actually did help us stay in the top 50. So thank you guys. And again, really cool. This is helping us still find new players even now after, because people are finding that through articles or through posts after the fact. And so that's really, really cool to see. And I think a lot of faces that we're seeing in some of the chat here are people who have been streaming, checking out the game, making new YouTube videos. We had far and away more people streaming and checking out the game than ever before. I think the number of Twitch streams was like 5x the amount that we had when the demo went live. So that's really, really cool. We're excited, of course, to see that and excited to meet a bunch of new people. And also just really appreciative because every time someone plays our game and checks it out, like that gives us feedback. We watch like and see like how people responded, but also it's helping other people find the game. So that's really, really cool. So thank you guys. So all of that is to say, Next Fest from like a sharing the game with the world perspective went really well. Thank you guys for all of your kind words. I see in chat. Tasery already looking for pre-orders and DLC. We would be excited about those things, and certainly we need to make some cash to survive as a studio. So thank you for sharing in our goals. But we still have a lot of work to work on, and we are still focused on early access. And thank you so much, Cans Corp, for those kind words. We are just trying to communicate as much as we can because we're seeing it also lead to like us getting so much critical info about how the game is being received and people sort of coming back to support us, which is so huge. So I feel like we're sort of watching like us and you guys sort of in this giant sort of team effort making this sort of groundswell of attention, which is a really cool feeling. I think it's very different than sort of being like, and then we throw the marketing dollars out there, and then a trailer happens, and then someone sees it in a show, and then they decide in that moment if the game is worth their attention. I don't really feel like that's sort of the world anymore. And certainly during development has not been how we've been approaching making the game better. So seeing that sort of extend through here is really cool for us. And sort of speaking of that, I think the immediate next thing is like, what did we learn about what's happening on the game? Like, what
Oh,
have we
new
been
ad
hearing?
break.
To all of our dear subscribers, thank you so much, and thank you for not continue to listen to me ramble. How long is the ad break, Ryan?
Minute and 12 seconds left.
Do, Can we turn that off? Like, we don't need to make money from these.
We'll need to look into that.
Cheery. Hey, Cheery. This is so funny.
We'll see. We'll see if we can do something about this.
Okay, we'll
Is that
work on
someone in
that.
chat said you could move around,
Oh,
move them
we can
around at
move them?
least?
That
Probably
kind
too
of
much to
makes
figure out
sense.
live, but
That makes sense.
yeah.
Then we can
Got it.
go live or stay live longer and just play some ads at the end. Oh, thank you, Cheery.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, 30 more seconds on this one.
Okay. All right. We're learning, guys. We're learning. So funny. That makes sense. Like, if you were mid-match, it would not make sense to have an ad play, and people would just be like, "I'm gonna play an ad now." So yeah, of course we can control it to some degree.
Well, hopefully they're gone forever.
Yeah. Funny. Let me know when it's over.
5 seconds.
Crack me up.
All right, it's done.
Cool. Welcome back, everybody. That's so funny. Sorry about that. We're trying to figure out how to turn it off. Oh no, this is the dark side of now being affiliates and having emotes. We have to answer to Twitch. Welcome back, everybody. The flip side of seeing all of this like news and attention out of NextFest is like what actually has happened on the game side. Like, what have we been learning? What have people been saying about the game? If you want, Ryan, I can actually just follow you on the board, or if you want, I can sort of continue to steer.
Oh, why don't you drive?
Okay.
I'll just talk over it, tell you where to go.
So I think in a previous chat that was actually Ryan and I, we were talking about like, hey, every time people fill out the surveys, every time people are sharing their thoughts in Steam and through streams and stuff like that, this is info that we're digesting and pulling into themes and starting to turn that into priorities. So this is sort of seeing it in practice. Is what have been things people have been saying that are now leading us to take different actions for like what we do development wise. So yeah, let me know where you want to go, Ryan.
Yeah, let's start here. So yeah, we've talked about this in the past, but one of the big reasons we're engaging with the community this way is because we want feedback. We believe it's critical for an early access game. We don't have all the answers. We want to see, how people are relating to the game, what they're looking for. We actually need help like testing the game and understanding what's working, how balanced it is, because we're a really small team. And so that's doubly so for NextFest. I mean, the volume of feedback this time is unlike anything we've had before. Honestly, we're still we're still parsing it all. We're still going and kind of synthesizing and thinking about what we want to do based on the feedback we got. Our Steam forum, our Discord, all of these have been more active than ever. Tons of people filled out the survey, which is incredible because we asked a bunch of really detailed questions there, and it takes a little while to go through. And so we're armed with more feedback than ever. And we're now, looking at what we can do for early access. Luckily, a lot of the things that we have planned that we'll talk about in a second are also things that the community is asking for, which is really cool to see. And there's a bunch of other stuff. Some of it we're going to try to fit in, some of it we won't be able to. So we're actually working now to plan our post-release patches. We're working on a roadmap right now that extends through 2026. That will, if people love the game, we'll be able to scale it up. But we have a bunch of different plans to introduce new biomes, new content, things that I'm sure we'll talk about in an upcoming stream. So we're right in the middle of that right now, where we got a huge volume of feedback, and we're now on the team, like looking through it, talking about it, pulling out key learnings, and then trying to fit as much as we can in the run up to launch. You want to go to the right a little bit?
Yeah, inevitably, it's always bandwidth as a constraint.
Yeah. The answer to if we ever don't do something, the answer is almost always we don't have enough time or people. So we'll try to get to it when we can. But luckily, there's a lot of stuff we are doing and can do. And so there's some big trends in the feedback. We're seeing a ton of praise for the atmosphere, the art style, the vibe. This is not surprising. The art team's done an incredible job. We've been hearing this for a long time. That's by far and away one of the biggest things that we're seeing right now. And I'm really excited as we release some new maps, because the demo just has the first biome. I'm excited for people to see how that art style kind of carries through these varied zones and new content. And so this remains an area where we're really strong. I think we're in a really unique place compared to other survival crafting games, which is pretty cool. And that was one of the intentions originally. And the art team's done an amazing job of really making the world of Nera like look and feel unique. Um, we have some other trends too. You want to zoom out and maybe just this whole column. We're seeing people engage a lot with the water and the ocean and exploration and travel. We have some stats on our side, so we can see like how many boats players have on average per server, how many spirits they're collecting, how long it takes them to get to different ruins and collect different spirits. And we're seeing people get out there. We only have one biome in the demo, but we're seeing some people spend a ton of time in that biome, collect all the spirits, kind of scour every corner, and people seem to like it. They definitely want. We'll get to some areas for improvement in a sec, but they want more to do there, and there's some expectations we're not meeting when it comes to like what you should be able to do with the boat. But it seems like people are really liking the skimmer, the boats, the water setting of our game, which is great to see. Similar with spirits, we've had a lot of improvements there, a lot of changes recently. We have more varied types that appear in your base. People are doing memes with them, as you can see here. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of people who love the spirits and love the fact that they're in the world, kind of giving them that magical element, and really excited about things that we can do with them in the future. Another bit of feedback, not as strong as the one before, but we did some work recently. For those of you who played an alpha playtest, you've seen it for a little bit, to tighten up some of the things around combat. We had some bugs that were really bringing down the game feel a bit. When you'd aim the bow, the character would be rotated in the wrong direction, or your hits would miss. And so, it's not perfect. There's still more to do there. We're working on some issues with latency if the internet connection is not super strong. But I'm pretty happy with some of the game feel improvements we made to combat, and we want to do more polish and improvement there later. So these are some of the areas that we're seeing people really resonate with and give us kudos for. And then we also have a whole bunch of constructive feedback about areas where we can improve the game. If you want to go to the right. I think the best breakdown of this might be those percentages. So these are across a couple surveys, but we have more responses than ever. We have kind of a big list of issues we ask people, like what is the thing that's holding you back from wanting to purchase the game right now? And these are kind of some of the trends we're seeing. So not enough content, and I'm based on a lot of the write-in answers. Some of that's like the game is not long enough. I want more biomes, and luckily we're going to be able to support that. The demo is pretty limited. But some of this is content depth as well, right? I think particularly with spirits and boats, like a lot of people are liking the content that's there, but they want more of it, and we want that too. And so we're thinking about how to support that. Some people are running into bugs. Sometimes these are minor. Sometimes these prevent you from being able to play or have you lose your progress. Those are the ones we prioritize a lot more highly. We're spending a lot of time on knocking down bugs between now and early access. No surprises here. Open world 10-player co-op games are hard. It's easy to introduce bugs. It's easy to reintroduce bugs. But this is definitely something we're eyeing to kind of increase the overall quality of the game. Pretty happy with this next one. I mean, we've done a lot of work to try to make sure that our game feels different than other survival crafting games on the market, with our setting, with our art style, with a lot of our exploration loop. There's still work to do here. I think that it's always a balance between how do we make sure we have a pretty, a survival crafting game that's easy to understand and is building on things that other games have done well, with this small team. And then where do we innovate? Where do we do new things? And so I'm not surprised that we're not at 0% here. But I'm pretty happy this isn't like 50%. Like it seems like the majority of people, and this is flushed out in some of the other feedback we have, are feeling that our game feels pretty different than other survival crafting games. And that's something that we definitely want to keep investing in. And then I'm really proud of the performance one. This is similar to bugs. It's a hard game to get running on more machines. I know there are people in NextFest, some who are in our Discord, who had bad performance experiences. So I'm sorry about that. And we have a lot more planned here. But if you actually zoom out to the right, we're now collecting. If you want to go to the right a little bit, we're now collecting a lot of data on how performance is going in the live game for people. This is just one slice, but it's basically a chart of everybody who played the NextFest demo on a specific graphics settings. I think this is high. and then what FPS they got. And so here we're really trying to make sure that if you have our min spec or better, you get above 30 FPS in a pretty stable way. And so we're seeing here that a lot of people are getting above 30, a lot of people are getting above 60. There's some people who are getting below, and actually, if you not in here, but in our analytics tool, if you hover over these, we can actually see what machine you have. And so we're now doing a lot of performance improvements to try to move up the floor, and so more people are getting good performance. We'll talk about that later, but we have a bunch of new graphics settings coming soon. We have DLSS, which I think is going to really help with this. And so some people are still having issues, but overall, I'm really happy with some of the improvements our team has made here. And then back to the left a little bit before we go down. And so some of the things we're thinking about is, how can we add more content? How can we get more depth of content in areas that are already working pretty well? How can we increase the quality of the game, the perceived quality of the game? And this is through, improving localization, improving performance, fixing bugs. All these add up to the game feeling like a higher quality product that's worth your money. In these different game areas, we're thinking a lot about both before and after early access launch. How can we add, more things to do with the boat, more to find at sea? How can we really expand that area because it is so unique to our game? How can we give players more spirit abilities? Give the companion spirit more like interesting gameplay. How can we continue to improve combat and really push this and make this feel better? And so these are the questions that the team is working on right now, and deciding what to focus on for early access and beyond. So we have more feedback than ever. We're in a spot where we can actually kind of directly take a lot of those things and plan them on our roadmap. And so it's been really helpful for kind of guiding development and specifically setting priorities for us.
Something that's really interesting, and this is something that it's probably some kind of deep lore at this point, which is seeing how some of these like ratings and scores and responses have changed over time. Because early days, like when the demo first came out, there was a lot of like, oh, seafaring is like cool conceptually, but like I wish there was more to do underwater, right? Or I wish there were more water enemies. And that feedback has kind of gone away, and like other things have kind of surfaced, right? Of like wanting, craving a new area that feels like it's not at the same sort of like delivering the promise that we were saying. But that change is really good and really encouraging because it means like tight. We actually meaningfully move the needle on seafaring feeling like a really fundamental part of the game, spirits feeling like a really compelling part of the game, versus what we delivered in like December. Or for a lot of the folks that are in this chat, the super crazy rough versions that you saw last fall, right? Like it's kind of crazy how much things have changed. And we're seeing a lot of like hard feedback, which is like reflecting that change, which is really encouraging, right? Because like you can kind of work on a ton of stuff, and then it's just like sometimes it can end up quite unclear. Like, did that make a difference? Did that make the difference that we're hoping to make? And in this case, we're like, oh, actually, a lot of it did, which is super cool. Oh, thank you so much for the subscription, Mara Winterhide. Hello. Thank you so much for the sub. Enjoy the emotes. Okay, so before we talk about some of the other stuff coming, we actually just had a patch go live. So if you guys haven't seen this yet, we do have some shiny new patch notes with a ton of new stuff, but also a bunch of stuff that we had turned off as we were preparing for NextFest that is now back on. So the reef is now accessible again, on top of a bunch of other goodies. Does that work? It does work. Okay, cool. I'll try and go quick through this since it's already 12:38. But here we go. If you guys have not seen this yet, we got some shiny new patch notes coming in. We got storm walls are now removed. You can actually sail there anytime you want. Some people have already talked about the death and destruction they faced in trying to do that too early, but hey, power to you. The reef is back here for testing. Is there any part of this you want to go through, Ryan, by the way? Or
No, go for it. I'll take the upcoming content for
cool.
EA.
Reef hobs are a little more in line with like some of the leveling work that we had done and some of the balancing there. And we also have some of the same sort of like combat improvements of readability of like what attacks are and aren't blockable that are now applied to all these enemies. You no longer have to go all the way back if you need hardened shell. There are now these giant blue crabs that are all over the reef. They're not as aggro as you might fear, so you can walk up to them, but if you piss them off. We've also had a lot of areas that have had a lot of art love. So a bunch of the tide metal nodes, some of the different spaces within the reef look a lot fancier and nicer and more intentional, especially some of the areas that we thought were a little more barren before. And then the final sort of encounter for the Elder Spirit now has a much more spruced up space and a bigger and sort of encounter there. And we're still working on this actually. And this is stuff that I got a caveat for you right now. The Greatwood is pretty darn temp. This is some prototype content, right? So a lot of this is getting into functional state, and then we have a lot more work and polish. Like some of these enemies have no animations and stuff like that, so they're not in the easiest spot for feedback. But hey, we want to start getting all of this out there for testing. Soon we'll be ready for like deeper qualitative, like how did that feel? Like, was that fun? Was this guy challenging enough? Right now it's probably just kind of hard to tell. But along with the Greatwood biome is a ton of other cool stuff, like an upgraded boat, the chests that give you build from chest, which is like a super common request. Some new recipes, new resources, elderwood armor, new decorations, all sorts of cool stuff is all around the corner. Where's my raccoon spirit? That would actually be adorable AF. Yes, Mara, there is a third biome technically accessible, although it is super rough, so be warned. A lot of temp missing art, but also some prototype content, right? Some bramble vines, some new enemies that are sort of working in there, a shiny new map, also some stuff like the ability to hit a button and actually for it to mark on your map where the nearest spirit that needs rescue is, so you can sort of go back and forth and have these little journeys in and out. And don't forget, if you didn't get to play with them before, we have a bunch of new spells and spirit abilities that are part of the Reef set of content, like this fireball, which sets enemies on fire. This air bubble is my personal favorite. This air bubble that allows you to restore your oxygen if you're deep underwater and may be very handy if you're battling the spires. And the start of fast travel. If you can't tell, this is temp art. It is a sphere, but you can use it to teleport between different spirit anchor points. It does require spirit power, by the way, and some cool fish visuals, on top of a lot of other quality of life and bug fixes, as always. So a lot of stuff coming in, in rapid motion. Let me go back over here, and that's just the stuff that is in testing as of yesterday around noon. If you want to join that playtest group, come to our Discord, and more testing is super helpful for us. So look forward to your feedback on that. And then what's starting to come after that, Ryan? Let me hand this back to you.
Totally. Yeah, let's go to the right. Cool. So yeah, we're gonna keep testing the Discord. There'll be patches after that, but right now we're kind of want to give some previews of the stuff coming in early access. So some of this might be available pretty soon for testing, but this was all definitely stuff that we're targeting for early access. Plans may change, but I think a lot of this stuff is going to get in. I think probably in the next build we have some in-game chat, so you can chat to people on your server. Nothing fancy here, but we hope that it's an easier way to kind of stay in contact with people and coordinate and group up. So we'll have that enabled pretty soon. We're just working on some of the UI and UX there. As we mentioned earlier, and it sounds like at least Ludwig would benefit from, we're adding a bunch of advanced graphics settings. So we have DLSS, which is a tool where if you have an NVIDIA card, you can use it to do some really good upscaling. And so you can run the game at a much lower resolution, get a lot better performance, and still have the image quality look pretty good. And so we're seeing a major improvement here in our testing. And a side effect is with DLSS, water also looks way better, which is pretty important for our game. We have a bunch of other graphic settings we're adding as well, so you can have a little bit more control over shadows and geometry instead of just having to worry about high, medium, low. big change that you can see some wireframes on the right is we're adding more options for the games that you can start and join. And so we're adding the ability for you to have multiple name save files. So you can have, different servers for different friend groups. You can manage those through the main menu. You can give them passwords and names and the other details around them. And so pretty soon you'll be able to balance different servers, which is nice because up until this point, you've only been able to have that one.
Yeah.
Um,
Quick shout out to Steph on these wireframes. Steph is not just our
yes.
producer. She's not just the person that works with our QA team. She's not just the person who manages all of our roadmaps. She's also the person who does our UI wireframes. And also
Not
thank you
only
to
that, but she's
yeah.
been owning that entire flow, making it a lot easier to get into games, to find your friends, to edit your save files. So she's going to be a big part in the improvements that are coming to that front end flow.
And a shout out to Grace in our chat, who, on top of being a super duper helpful moderator for our Discord, also gives us a lot of UI UX feedback,
Yes.
which is really helpful. Because, yeah, Steph is learning it for
Uh,
the first time.
yeah.
Yeah.
If you want to zoom out to the list
Yeah.
to the left again, Rana. So yeah, persistent servers, we're calling them dedicated servers, are also coming. We've done a few tests for those, but they're going to be, fully ready for early access. These will be pretty similar to what you find in other survival crafting games. If you want, you can host one locally. We're doing the same thing Pal World does, where we have actually a different Steam application, Voyagers of Nera dedicated servers, and you just have to run that to get a server up and going. And then we're also working with a few different partners. So if you don't have a machine where you can have a persistent server, you can pay to rent one. We'll be announcing them soon, but they're some of the big players that you're used to seeing with games like Dune and stuff. So yeah, there'll be a lot more options for being able to have, multiple games, multiple save files, persistent servers coming pretty soon. Um, let's see. We're also working on controller support. This is a hugely requested feature. We're trying to figure out the best version of this, but and we've seen a lot of people actually who are playing with controllers on the current build. I'm not even actually sure how. I assume it's some kind of auto hotkey or remapping solution. But yes, we plan to have official controller support soon, so really excited about that. Um, and then, kind of related to persistent servers and multiple save files, we're also working on some server settings. Pretty early days here, but we've been actually getting some great ideas from people in our Discord and Steam forums for what server settings they'd like to see. But these are things that you can use to tailor the experience to the needs of yourself or your community. Things like making combat a little easier, or having a creative mode in terms of free build. We really believe that our players should have the options to do that. We're still balancing around the defaults. We think that's like the best way to play the game. But if you want something different, if you want to have a different server, you can use these server settings to tailor that. Um, Always performance improvements, some big ones. Like I said, between the advanced graphic settings and DLSS, I think a lot of people who are having a hard time with performance right now are going to have a better time once these are in. And then we got some content. So we've talked about it before, but we're planning on releasing 3 biomes. You can get a very, very, very early taste of the third biome in our alpha playtest right now. But this is the Greatwood, and so it's got giant mangrove trees and things you'd expect to find in the forest. It's feeling pretty different from our last biome, the reef. And so that's coming soon. We're actively working on that, but we plan for that to be fully finished by early access. With that comes an entirely new set of enemies. You can see some of them on the right. These are the hunters. There's a couple different archetypes of them. Whole new resources, new armor, equipment, new spirits to find, new abilities, new items to craft, new buildables, new spirit amenities for spirits to lounge in, weapons, fish, even some character customization options. You can see a new hairstyle there that we have coming in. So yeah, a lot of stuff, all the content that comes with the biome. And so I'm hoping that helps, extend the game, give people some more content depth, and really excited to test that some more. And that's not all. I mean, those are all the things that we're like 100, or we're pretty sure we're going to get by early access. It's never 100%. But we also have a bunch of other improvements, quality of life and things based on playtest feedback that we're going to try to get in there as well. So We're planning on sharing a roadmap in the fairly near future for what we're going to be covering between now and early access, and then we're also going to be working on one for the period after that. So yeah, a lot of new stuff coming. If you want to check it out early, get in the alpha playtest, and excited to get your feedback.
Yeah, a lot of love for this bow. Wow. And then a question that popped up: dedicated servers. Players have free choice of who to rent from, or will be limited by who Treehouse chooses.
Yeah, so you can host them on your own, no restrictions, either on your own machine or whatever, or if you have another box somewhere in the cloud. And then to actually be able to get them through a third party, we do have to partner with them. And so we're targeting about 3 partners right now. And so you'll be able to pick from them. And we've tried to pick a range that offers some different features and different pricing. After the game launches, we might look to partner with a few more, but 3 was about all we could juggle right now in terms of getting the integrations going and making sure that we pick the best ones. So at launch, we plan to no restrictions on hosting your own, and then we're hoping to offer about 3 different server providers that we think will give a good experience.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I think that's the end of like our content, and then we always try and hold a little bit of time at the end just in case people have questions and stuff like that. I hope I haven't been missing a bunch as I've been trying to pan around over here. Um, oh, there's a question right there. A cozy cub gamer. Oh, revealing too much. Thank you for the raid. This is the second stream in a row that you've been raiding our stream. Thank you. That's incredibly kind. It's thank you so much for the support. Um, Guys, we are some of the developers for Voyagers of Nera. We've met Revealing Too Much from when he was playing the game. So welcome everybody. We were just talking about a bunch of sneak peeks and spoilers. If people want to see some of the new stuff that is in progress, we had just shared a bunch of new features coming by early access, a bunch of the stuff that was just going into the game. So we're working on stuff like adding in-game chat, more graphic settings, dedicated server support, multiple save files. And then yes, we are revealing too much about our game. But yeah, like new enemies that are in a very temp state right now, but you can technically play them in our internal testing. We have some new weapons and cosmetics coming in, and just an early look at our third biome. You get dibs to
Good
make that
joke
joke.
revealing. This is the second time where Michael has said revealing too much, and I thought he was directing that at me, saying I was revealing too much. So it is a constant source of confusion.
But no,
Great name.
you get the dibs of making that joke, of course. Yeah, we're also we got affiliate status, and now we got emotes, which is pretty sick. But welcome everybody. And Lycidin, Lycidin, am I saying that right? Thank you for the follow. But yeah, so if you guys have other
Questions, I
questions,
think.
I saw a
Yeah, I'm
question.
just scrolling up. There's some.
Yeah.
Cozy was asking about console. So not for early access, but we've been, we want to get to console eventually. We've been talking about wanting to be there by 1.0, and we'll have a lot more info to share about that after we get into early access. But that's definitely the goal, and we would love to bring the game to console once we can.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of the early access route right now. Like stuff like NextFest going so well for us is a little bit of extra ammo to have these conversations, right? To say, hey, Nintendo, like, what's going on? Is this an interesting fit for you guys? So that's sort of my job in a lot of ways, is trying to sort of shake that tree and be like, dude, are you interested in what we're doing over here? And for sure, nothing is as good proof as just a lot of people liking and playing the game. So the more we've actually released the game and people are amped about it, the easier it is to have that conversation. Otherwise, it's often like, here's this giant company, and you're like, yo, is anyone there? So we're working on it. Thank you so much for the gift sub, Mara. Thank you so much. I'm still figuring out how to read my activity feed. When it hits console, will it be crossplay? That would be part of our intention, right? I think like consoles with crossplay is a much stronger like moment than just consoles in isolation. And dude, getting on consoles is a lot of forward planning for us on the development side. Like we probably would have to work on that for like 9, 12 months ahead of time, right? To get it to happen. So I think we'd want to shoot to make that as big a moment as possible, which would mean like, okay, can we actually do crossplay at the same time so that it is sort of like a bigger dude, if you've ever like wanted to play this with your other friends, like now's the time to hop in kind of feeling. Yeah. Did Da Vinci have an idea as well? We'll be able to mount a brute head on our mounting plaques.
Yeah, we definitely Billy, the designer who implemented the mount plaque, I know had some ideas for expanding that and allowing you to get more trophies or maybe mount some of your items or other things. So no concrete plans on that, but yeah, we definitely want to introduce more mounts for you to be able to decorate your base with and show off your accomplishments.
Hmm.
And then also related to mounts, but the other kind, where was that? Was that Rane, I think, was asking?
Yeah.
Do you plan any plans to add mounts? No current ones, but it's definitely something that we hear a lot of requests for. I think could be pretty cool in our game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we looked into something like that in the future. I think we even have some pretty natural ways to do that with like the skimmer. Like, what if you're riding the back of a sea creature or something like that?
Yeah.
Um,
Uh, you guys probably remember our earlier splash art. This was something that we were really amped about, and ultimately we were like, oh, like it just doesn't make as much sense for this part of the game that we're focusing on. But it's always been this thing that we want to get back to. Like it's like once a week where Steph is just like, oh, when can we have mounts? And it's just like always the same thing of being like, okay, when would it actually make sense to do that? When can we afford to add it? Kind of thing. But yeah, there's so much potential in that idea. um, I want to ride the crabs. I mean, Grace, I know that's a bit of a joke, and but same with like the mounting the head on plaques and stuff. This is totally in the Venn diagram of like what would be dope and what would be affordable. We often talk about like where can we reuse existing stuff in a way that feels like it makes sense or even is like part of the expectation. Like having the bigger blue crab in the reef, we're like, dude, we need people to get hardened shell somehow. Okay, what if there are still crabs in the new biome? And here's like a fun way to twist that. And it doesn't feel like, oh, like they just have all of the same type of enemy everywhere type feeling, right? So being able to mount the brute head, mount the bulwark, no, that's probably a little messed up. But there is something to that in terms of our development side of like how do we deliver this without then having to be like, oh crap, this is like multiple weeks of extra artwork on top of like everything else we have to plan. Like that's the kind of problem solving that we do every day. So yeah, maybe that's like the less fun peek under the hood, but it is kind of our problem solving. I'm gonna dive up here right now. Giant crab, um, giant crab mini boss. Like yeah, like again, right? Like you could say, hey, there's actually an existing like animation rig you could use. Some existing animations that work. But then if it actually is a boss, you'd be like, well, they probably need some other interesting attacks. Like their current reactions are pretty basic, right? And so that would be a meaningful starting point. But then you'd also probably want to be like, why a crab? Like would that add some meaningful interest to some encounter? Which is something we could, you know, think about. We would also want to weigh and consider. Yeah, or
Question
partner
from
with the aggro crab studio who are like they seem so
yeah,
awesome.
that's true.
Those guys are so cool. Kona
Another
Chan, thank you so
question
much for the sub.
from Sarah
Um,
Barra. I'm sure the team is hard at work for on the early access launch right now, but are there any plans slash big moves we can look forward to for post launch? We definitely are going to have more information about that soon, but we can share some of our tentative plans and tidbits. You know, early access is just the beginning, and so we're planning on delivering the fourth biome, which we haven't even shared anything about right now, relatively soon after launch. We're targeting kind of the end of the year right now, so we want that to be like a big update, adding a whole new biome to the game, a ton of more content to explore. And then we're targeting another like major patch before then. The holiday period is going to be pretty busy, but we want to do another patch that's really dedicated to improving some other parts of the game while we work on bringing that biome up. So that's where a lot of the feedback that's coming in that we don't have time to address for early access. We're planning for that first patch. So we'll talk about that soon. We'll probably even do a dev stream just focused on some of those post-launch patches. But it's going to be, yeah, pretty busy end of the year. We're going to have early access, and then we're hoping to have at least 2 major patches before the end of the year, and then probably a bunch of hot fixes and things like that in between.
Yeah. Seasonal decorations, Rob Wharton, is something that we talk about a lot. Sometimes you have this moment where you're like, dude, if at some point there aren't cherry blossoms in the game, like what are we doing? You know, like are we just insane? So it's something we want to add. Like this holiday season, honestly, it really is picking some of our battles because a lot of the same effort would go from one to another one of these, and like fourth biome would probably trump some of the like holiday type stuff that it would be the exact same effort, right? And but we'd be like, dude, it would bring so much more joy to have the fourth biome in there by the end of the year. So, but yeah, like there's so many. The number of ideas in that vein is endless. Also, Steph and I both worked on some of these teams at Riot of just like skins and new seasonal events and like temporary modes. So our brain is kind of pre-wired to some stuff like that, but we're just like trying to be good and not go overboard to the detriment of everything else. uh, let's see what else. Maybe we got time for a couple more questions before we got to wind down stream. Are you going to have the option to toggle sprinting instead of having to hold down the shift key? Oh, really quick. Also, thank you, Morning Darkness, for the subscription, the gift sub, and thank you, Revealing Too Much, for continuing your sub. Thank you so much. Toggling sprint, Ryan. I think that's been a
Yeah,
request I've heard a
I
couple
know it's
times.
at the top of our list for gameplay settings we want to add. Right now, we're focusing mostly on graphic settings, and then we plan to move into some more gameplay settings. So no concrete promises on when we'll get that in, but when we have more time to add gameplay settings, that's definitely one of the ones that we're going to be taking a look at. We've been getting a lot of requests for that one, and I personally use that one in games too. So yeah, so hopefully soon, but we'll see where it shakes out.
I see the plushie crowd is back and more powerful than ever. Um, Dude, I totally want to figure out plushies. It is totally the sort of thing where it's just like I want to do it well, and then that's a lot of effort. But actually, a couple folks in the community have actually shared us a couple of just nice resources of like Makeship and a couple of these things where we might be able to like do some sort of I guess that's sort of like a Kickstarter equivalent that might make more sense at launch, where it's just like, hey, would you produce this for us if we got like a few hundred people to batch together and order, like that type of thing seems a lot more doable at an early access moment kind of deal. So it's on our list for Chiri and I to investigate. It just hasn't happened yet. And Nexus looking for more long hairstyles. Us too. Right now, our current long hairstyle is the dominant winner. Everyone picks it. Everyone makes it white. It is the clear winner of the hairstyles. We are working on some more, starting with
Yep.
this guy that narrowly did not quite make it into NextFest. So they are coming. They are in progress. Need some long dreads. Totally. Yeah. The other dread hairstyle barely got in. Like I think just in time for us to capture in our trailer. So yeah, there's still a ton of other stuff we got to add. Tasery with an interesting suggestion that I don't think we're going to be able to accommodate as easily because that requires some rig changes and is not a current slot in our cosmetics. Um, Guys, I think that's about it for everything that's going on. Just to say it one more time, thank you guys so much for all the support that you guys have been showing us. Like all of this crazy NextFest success, like just the total number of like real actual wish lists of going from 100 to 150,000 wish lists during this like 2 week period was insane. The 1 week period was absolutely insane. So thank you guys so much for the support. Thank you guys so much for spreading the word and getting us all this useful feedback as well that we were immediately trying to turn around and digest just like thousands and thousands of players worth of feedback into a lot of the stuff that we're adding. Please don't let up though. Please don't slow down on the feedback. We do have this brand spanking new playtest that just started yesterday. So please keep the feedback coming. Thank you, Morning Darkness. Another gift sub. My God. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, guys. No, I thank you guys so much for tuning in and just being our biggest fans. It really gives us so much energy, so much life. And yeah, the playtests are totally streamable. Absolutely go for it. It's all the latest. Just let people know it's the alpha, because people might end up confused of like, hey, why can't I see this other biome when they're playing the demo? That's the only thing. So thank you guys so much for all the time and support. And look out, pretty soon, we're going to be getting more of these features out to playtest. And we're going to need your feedback because for sure we're going to run into bugs with all sorts of this stuff. So we're kind of counting on you guys to tell us what's working, what's fun, what's got bugs, what needs better translation. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. And we're going to talk to you guys soon. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks for the next stream.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, folks. Oh, I'm not supposed to hit the button. I'm supposed to wait until the raid happens. I'm not doing it. Hands up. Bye, folks. Have a good day. Thanks, Sarah. Did you hit the button? Cheery, did you hit the button? You have to message me in Slack if you hit the button. Good night, folks. Hey, there it is.